Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
All right, time for a fact that makes your brain go. And it's still in the Thanksgiving-related world of food. Yesterday, it was about green bean casserole, the most Googled side for Thanksgiving in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. Now, that just is about Googled, I assume, for making recipes or trying to figure out, because someone always says, all the sides you're taking, you got to bring a green bean casserole. Well, you just find yourself then all of a sudden having to make it. But this is about the actual side that is right after the turkey that is number one on the table 6 days from today here in Illinois and Chicago. So, obviously, turkey's number one, 84%. Now, before we get there, you guys guessed a lot of things on the text line. Let's get to some of your texts here first. In case, what do you got?
Well, you trashed stuffing because that was my guess. And Rose in Wrigleyville she said, Brian, hear me out, which I know you love when people start with that.
Hear me out. It's going to be a great argument after that when everybody says that.
Rose said, hear me out. Normal stuffing that goes in the turkey is trash, but stovetop 5-minute stuffing is really good and definitely full of all that processed stuff that you like.
I love processed stuff.
I love it. Well, I love preservatives. You know, they preserve the food.
You know, all the people that are going against preservatives and processed stuff, follow them on IG. They end up sick. They usually do because they're going against it. Embrace it.
Wow.
You know, because I'll be like a cockroach. You can't get rid of me when the nuclear war and the zombies come.
Because at this point, you're made of preservatives.
Yep. As Kenzie said, lab the table.
Lab the table, that's us. Because I think Rose is right. I don't want the stuffing in the turkey. I want the stuffing that on the stovetop and then as a side. I don't want anything in the turkey.
Well, I don't like stuffing, and I'll make that into consideration. Also, Liz checked in from Aurora and said, Case is canceled for saying he likes stuffing more than mac and cheese. Not even the baked mac and cheese case?
No, I'm a person that believes stuffing should be year-round. I think we should be having stuffing on the 4th of July at cookouts, on Labor Day at cookouts, on Memorial Day at cookouts. Stuffing is something that needs to be on the table 365 days a year.
Goodbye.
Wow.
Yeah, it's horrible. But listen, I'm willing to learn. Megan may make us some sausage stuffing to go with our filet mignon that my mom is making.
La-di-da.
Oh, it's going to be weird.
Oh, Thanksgiving with the Rockefellers.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Normally, I would count back upward in the sides, but I think I'm just going to go down this way. So I'll get you number 2 right out of the gate here. So number 2, after you grab the turkey on the table in Illinois and Chicagoland, number 2 is what I've always said, why we don't need stuffing. 69% of the people say mashed potatoes is what they're going for right there. Mashed potatoes. This is why you don't need stuffing, because you can always have more mashed potatoes.
I disagree with this logic, just inherently. They're two different foods.
Okay, hear me out. You take not just a little slab of butter, a chunk of butter, put it in the middle of those mashed potatoes and push it down. And then wait. Eat some of your turkey, maybe have some conversation with your cousin you haven't talked to in a while.
So when I get to the table, that's when I should put the butter in the mashed potatoes.
100%. Before you sit down.
Before you say grace, before you sit down, because we do a big prayer.
Of course you should.
Yes.
Be thankful. In fact, I recommend sneaking into the area.
Tiptoeing into the kitchen.
And putting the butter in your lump of mashed potatoes, maybe even 10 minutes before you sit down. You're still watching football, whatever.
Yeah.
Because when you get back, you're going to have this kind of volcano setup of mashed potatoes, and the lava is the melted butter in the middle. I can't even get through it. I'm getting so excited.
You're like a kid on Thanksgiving Eve, so excited for your melted butter.
And then you just sprinkle a little bit of sea salt, the grinder sea salt, into that melted butter, and it kind of looks like little like flowers on the ocean. The little specks of salt floating in the melted butter.
Are there a lot of flowers on the ocean?
No, but in my vision of my volcano of butter mashed potatoes, it is.
Do you have chives on your mashed potatoes?
It's either or. I'm not going to be objecting to chives. It's a waste, but whatever.
Okay, but you'll move past it.
Okay, so this is why mashed potatoes, 69%. 69% of Chicagoans and Illinoisans. That's the first one. Next up is bread or rolls at 68%.
So my brother is a few years older than me, incredibly picky lifestyle that he lives. I don't even want to say eater. Everything about him is picky. He only drinks white milk and water. He doesn't have any soda. He doesn't have any alcohol. He doesn't have any juice. When he goes to the Thanksgiving table, he's not interested in anything other than turkey and rolls. And he'll pop the rolls in his mouth. He won't cut them open and put butter on them and make the volcano like you want. Yeah. He's eating rolls by the fistful.
Yeah, that's not good because it's taking up space in his stomach. you use the rolls to push everything together, and then at the end you eat that roll because there's so much great stuff on it.
I understand it's a great topper, if you will.
Yeah.
He's not interested in anything else. It's not his first Thanksgiving, Brian.
Well, he's rogue. He goes rogue on Thanksgiving. But you know what? He knows what he likes.
Yeah.
He knows what he likes. That's enough.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to give you the fourth most, and this is I have a side take on this.
Oh, boy.
Number 4 is pie. This means 67% of Chicagoans at Thanksgiving dinner will eat pie as a fourth side during Thanksgiving dinner. Now, I'm not saying you wait till afterward. I'm all for this, but not using pie, but a Portillo's chocolate cake.
Okay, so those are different things.
They're different things, but they have the same texture, meaning if you want that savory, sweet combo in the middle of dinner, don't wait for dessert. Do dessert in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. And so I'm okay with you going for pie or the Portillo's chocolate cake. I think it's a great thing. I think this is awesome that we're like this all together.
So your Thanksgiving again, you're doing a steak. So you're going to do steak, mashed potatoes, cake. What's for dessert if a cake is a side?
Just more of all that.
Just more. Okay.
More of everything.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101, 7:52. So about 8 minutes away from 8 o'clock, where we will have the My Chemical Romance Song Scramble for tickets to Soldier Field to see My Chemical Romance Friday, August 29th. The day after, Oasis is at Soldier Field. And the same month with Lollapalooza. And there's already one more big one in there. Lincoln Park at the United Center. August 2025 is already done.
It's going to be a lot.
It's a lot. Or just like this August in 2024 where you had Lollapalooza, Green Day Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, and
one other one in there. Metallica.
Oh, Metallica. At Soldier Field. Yeah.
Oh, that band.
That band. So already August 2025 is lit. So
what else is it, Brian? It's lit.
I almost couldn't say that without laughing.
It's dope.
It's fire.
It's swag.
We already said dope, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I got 3. Now, before we get there to the song scramble, a crazy story out of Wisconsin. Green Lake, Wisconsin. A Wisconsin man who faked his own death kayaking, fled the country, and won't come home. It's kind of an early head to headlines here, but we have to get to this story now because the Sheriff's Department in Wisconsin revealed new information about a guy named Ryan Borgwart, a missing kayaker. Well, now, they found his kayak, and then they found his life jacket, and then they found his car. They searched for 45 days for this guy. 45 days, the police wasted their time looking for a guy who faked his own death and left the country. Why did he leave the country? Well, to hook up from some girl from Uzbekistan, that's why.
Uzbekistan has some hotties. I get it.
Oh, well, listen, there's a lot of dating apps for those girls. You can get them over here. He took out a $375,000 life insurance policy on himself and then purchased airline cards. And they've now realized, or at least they've said, that they've gotten a hold of him. And he said, I'm alive. But he's not telling the police where he is. And apparently he's over there, over in that country with a woman.
Uzbekistan, yes.
Yeah, and he had a wife, he had a family and kids, and he faked his own death and got out of Green Lake, and Big Green Lake is where he was kayaking. In Green Lake, Wisconsin. That's where the Big Green Lake is.
I'd fake my own death, too, if I was in Green Lake, Wisconsin.
Well, I looked it up. It's between, now I'm not going to say Madison, because when you say Madison, which is an awesome city, you don't think it's in between that and Green Bay. Well, you know how I feel about Green Bay and the Packers.
Not a fan.
They're not good. So, you have any information on Green Lake? What people do there, Case?
Yeah, I went to the Green Lake TripAdvisor page because I was dying to know what there is to do in Green Lake, Wisconsin, because I assumed nothing. And my intuition was correct. The 2 things listed under essential Green Lake, Wisconsin things to do.
Yeah.
The Green Lake Town Square, which just looks like a bunch of old buildings. Unremarkable. I've seen buildings before. I don't need to go to Wisconsin for them.
Probably a chocolate shop there.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, old candy shop with 2 P's and an E where they spell shop that way.
It's so cute.
Not interested. Not a fan.
That's you.
The second thing on the TripAdvisor site for Green Lake, Wisconsin, the things you have to do in this city. The Green Lake Conference Center.
The famous conference center in Green Lake. I've always wanted to go there.
If those walls could talk.
I planned a trip, but it got canceled for COVID. I couldn't make it up there.
Do you know how bad your town has to be where they advertise the conference center as one of the things to do?
So imagine someone reaching out to this guy from Uzbekistan and the attraction that must have been for him, the fantasy. But he's a bad guy because he left his family and he faked his death and wasted the police's time looking for him. But this just was so curious to me that in 2024, you can actually fake your own death. This isn't 1972, where there's nobody with Find My Phone.
Oh my God. Think about how easy it used to be to fake your own death. You could move 20 minutes north and people would think you died.
You could move easily to Aurora from Naperville and no one would find you.
No, how would anybody know?
No, there's no way.
If you get a haircut, you're a different guy.
But today, and he must have obviously really had to force himself not to go on any social media, not go on the internet. It's still, though, I feel like we're being watched all the time by every camera. Everybody's got a Ring camera. I don't care how big or small the house is. There's a Ring camera out front.
So think about all the things you would have to do to cut off any footsteps so that you wouldn't be found. Because the first thing I thought of was obviously social media is down the tube. And you can't create burners either. You can't have a burner social media if you're going to fake your own death. You have to completely unplug from that. But then I started thinking about all the streaming services that you subscribe to if you have a family. You not only can't watch any of those streaming services, you can't cancel the accounts because then they know you're dead. So if you're going to watch TV, you have to pay for 2 streaming services. You have to pay for the one that was already being paid for that your family uses, but then you have to have a new one that's just you. It's very expensive to fake your own death.
I just got chills thinking that I could never watch The Challenge again.
That would be a big loss for you, I know.
I mean, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
you couldn't fake your own death because then you wouldn't be able to watch Entourage.
Well, for the 17th time. I mean, I love my wife, but if I'm saying, but if I wanted to leave, and let's say the situation wasn't good, I'd stay just to watch The Challenge. Is what I'm saying.
In times of sickness and health, and when The Challenge is on.
Also, 312 checked in and said, "See, this is also the problem with today's world that we're in now, how we live. We all have FOMO." For everything, for concerts, for restaurants.
Well, think about next August.
I'm already got FOMO for next August.
You got to go to Lala.
I got to go to, obviously, Oasis, which I got some tickets for already. But, I've got to go to Lincoln Park. I've got to go to My Chemical Romance. How could I fake my own death and miss that?
Oh, that'd be brutal.
I couldn't post a picture of me smiling selfie going like, I'm at Soldier Field?
Oh, that would suck. To be able to see Oasis and not take a video of it, what's the point?
And clearly this guy was the same because 312 checked in and said he did a random TikTok he was in and he said it was him. He couldn't even stay off TikTok.
Oh, TikTok's awesome. I get that.
Well, it's fine, but if you want to fake your own death for $400,000 and go off with some girl in his Beckett stand, you've got to somehow cancel your account.
Could you imagine being this man's wife and you go on TikTok days after you think your husband has died and you see him doing a trendy TikTok dance in Uzbekistan? Do you know how mentally effed up you'd be if you saw that? If he's doing like the Costco guys, he's like, hey, I'm in Uzbekistan. This double chocolate chunk cookie is a boom.
Bam!
That'd be awful.
Yeah, that poor woman and the family. But I can't imagine trying to fake your own death and getting away with it. And like I said, he didn't.
I know. It used to be so much easier to fake your own death.
God, the good old days, as they say.
Oh, man.
Faking your own death.
Being in the 60s and just going off the grid. Again, you move 20 minutes north, nobody would know.
There's no way today, if I tried this, that a debt collector wouldn't find me.
Oh, God, all the money you owe?
I mean, they would stop. They always text and call. If I was in the woods, I guarantee someone would show up and go, you own $75,000 in college account. I'm here to collect,
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
Well, it's Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and it is Friday, time for one of Case's movie reviews. Again, if you're new to the show, Case is 25 years old and never watched big movies, and I just got tired of making references to lines in movies and him not knowing. So earlier this year, he started watching them, and now you feel like a better person because you've seen like Saving Private Ryan, like Pulp Fiction, like Point Break, like Varsity Blues.
Well, I didn't realize movies were as good as they were, which might sound dumb, but I had no idea that, again, like Point Break or The Naked Gun, which we did, which I really enjoyed, or Pulp Fiction or Jaws. Like Jaws now, I reference Jaws all the time. I love Jaws. I quote that movie. These beaches are going to be open by the 4th of July. I love it.
Well, the thing is, you at 25 years old grew up in a time when TV is bigger than movies.
Completely, because I really care about the history of TV. I like old TV. I'm the only 25-year-old that references the Larry Sanders Show constantly.
Yes.
But movies, most of them are so long that I never bother to watch them.
Yeah, they're so long.
Well.
Oh, jeez. So here we go. Gladiator is a movie I certainly referenced. We'll get to the line that, of course, that I always referenced. And I'm so glad you're watching it because Gladiator 2 is this weekend. And it's probably going to be one of the biggest movies of the year.
It's a big event.
It looks awesome. Denzel Washington in it. It looks so good. And I really might get my ass off the couch and go to the theater to see this.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that'll happen.
It's a hard thing to do
between
for
all
me.
the football this weekend, I'm sure you'll have time for that.
Well, there's Indiana, Ohio State on Saturday. Got the Bears on Sunday. Okay, I'm probably not making it to the theater.
Probably not.
Maybe I'll go to a matinee on Monday. But let's go back to the year 2000. This is how we always start. We'll go back to the movie trailer on TV that was advertising the movie Gladiator.
The general
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
who became a slave.
You should not have defied the Emperor.
The slave
Win the crowd. You'll win your freedom.
who became a gladiator.
They said you were a giant. I shall cheer for you.
The gladiator
At my signal, unleash hell.
who defied an empire.
Today I saw a slave become more powerful than the Emperor broke.
From director Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe, Gladiator, rated R.
Ah! At my signal, unleash hell. I would love
That's
to
what
be.
you say every morning before the show. We're about to play a Green Day song. That's what Brian says.
Oh, God, it's so good. So let's just get right to you on this. And what did you think, your first thoughts of seeing Gladiator with Russell Crowe?
Gladiator is essentially Italian Braveheart. It hits the same beats. It has the same tone. It's a really long, drawn-out movie that is luckily made up for it by a few really intense action sequences.
I don't like where this is going. I may have to pull the plug on this review. I've never done that before, but I don't like how this is starting because I know you didn't like Braveheart.
Hated Braveheart. That was the thing that started this whole segment. Was I had never seen Braveheart. You were appalled. I watched Braveheart. Thought it was terrible. Thought it was a bad movie, and I still think it's a bad movie.
That's a bad take.
I was prepared to hate this movie because the opening battle scene, I don't know who anybody is. They're not telling me who anybody is. They're not talking. They're fighting. It's dark on the screen. It's hard to see. I was prepared to fully hate this movie after the opening scene. Luckily, it's 2.5 hours long. And so there was a lot of movie left, and it sort of won me over by the end.
The opening scene is what gets you in.
I don't know who any of the people are.
But why do you need to know?
Because it'd be nice to have an emotional attachment to somebody.
Well, aren't you emotionally attached to the general when you see him?
I don't know who the general is.
Because instantly, Maximus bonds himself, and you can see in the eyes of the people, the soldiers he's leading, they're so beat down, but they'll still do anything for Maximus. They'll do anything for him. You didn't connect with that?
Not at all.
What? Even his dog. The dog ran with him.
Well, so I watched this movie with my girlfriend, and we had to pause it right when the dog showed up on screen to Google if the dog died or not, because we were going to turn it off if the dog died. And then I thought, you know how this is my wheelhouse, you know in Knocked Up, they have the knockoff Mr. Skin site?
Yes.
There should be a website called doesthedogdie.com where whenever there's a movie with a dog in it, you can Google to see if the dog dies or not.
Because you love dogs and you won't watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to see a dog die. I'm not a sicko.
Well, they do show the dog later, so I think he lives.
He lived.
Yeah.
It's all good. We kept watching. We saw the dog live.
You went to thedogdie.com and it lived? Okay, good.
Isn't that a good idea? This should be a business idea.
It's a really good idea.
This movie is sort of separated into two separate themes. There is, of course, the gladiators that are fighting in the Roman Colosseum. And again, the action sequences of this movie, by and large, are very entertaining. I don't love the slow motion effects they use in a lot of the battle sequences. That feels very 2000. I don't know if that holds up great. It doesn't detract from the movie. It's just one of those things I noticed that aged.
Sorry, some filmographer used slow motion to upset you.
It's just not, it's not what I would have done.
Okay.
If I was directing this movie. Not what I would have done. But the action sequences are very strong. That's one sort of theme throughout the entire movie.
I want you to pause for a second.
Okay.
Don't say very strong. They were historic. Like Rocky was with the fight scenes, Gladiator was with the sword scenes, and they were so violently real, all of the stuff that happened in the Colosseum, but even more so, like when he's in the woods and he escapes and takes those 4 guys out.
Yeah.
I thought they were impeccably realistic.
They're cool.
Oh, Jesus.
They're cool. I'm not slamming them. They're fine.
No. When you say they're fine, it's condescending.
Wow, you sounded like my dad there. Wow.
I want you to acknowledge that the fight scenes in Gladiator were impeccable, were wonderful.
They're cool. Whatever.
Oh, God. Go ahead.
Of course, you've got all these fight scenes, and again, they're fine. I like them, whatever. There's also the other half of the movie is...
Sorry about that. My computer's updating.
What are you doing?
My computer's updating. Sorry about that. I'll bring it down. Go ahead. Sorry.
There's the fight scenes, and then the other half of the movie is... Is it Caesar? He's the guy ruling over everybody?
It is not Caesar. It's Commodus. Who's Joaquin Phoenix you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Commodus.
Okay. Commodus wants to sleep with his sister so badly, and it's so distracting. Why? And I get it, by the way. His sister is a looker. That is a good-looking woman.
She's a looker.
But she's his sister. There's so many women in Rome. Why is he trying to sleep with his sister?
Well, I think you just said it. She's a looker. Also, the morals were a little different back then.
Yeah, but incest does not age well.
Well, of course not.
I'm just saying it's distracting.
By the way, his sister, Connie Nielsen, the actress, was married to Lars Ulrich of Metallica and has a child with him.
That's pretty cool.
Does that change anything for you?
I mean...
Well, he's still trying to sleep with his sister, so no, you shouldn't do that.
I'd like to sleep with her, too. I'd like to get closer to Lars.
I understand. You can talk to him about the whole Napster thing.
Which he was right about.
Yeah, he was. Connie Nielsen's amazing. And Joaquin Phoenix, I'll give you a little tidbit, by the way.
Give me a tidbit.
So Joaquin Phoenix, who played Commodus, of course, Johnny Cash, when he was alive, watched that movie and said, if anybody ever makes a movie about me, I want that guy to play me. Joaquin Phoenix, which is unbelievable watching Gladiator because you wouldn't think he could play Johnny Cash by watching that.
Makes me wonder what Johnny Cash was hiding.
Sleeping, maybe wanted to sleep with his sister.
Yeah,
I don't know.
big family.
But then because of that, Joaquin Phoenix got cast and he became Johnny Cash in Walk the Line so perfectly. Johnny Cash was right. Joaquin Phoenix was the guy to play him.
All right, cool. I like that.
Yes.
So You've got sexual tension between brother and sister. You've got all of these fight scenes. And then as I was watching this movie, I was thinking about you, Brian. One, because I often do. But two, I was trying to figure out what are the lines that you quote from this movie? Because this is your thing. And I have more on the dialogue in just a second. But this is where I'll pass it to you. What are the things that you love about this movie?
Well, I'm gonna pull up one line here. I was blessed enough to go to Italy for my honeymoon.
Hey, you had a good year.
Good year. Okay, fine. We stretched the dollar pretty thin there to get to Italy. And when I got to go to Rome and see the Colosseum, to see it was unbelievable and emotional, religious, whatever you want to say that would take over your body and change the way you feel. I was walking toward it. It was about a 90-degree day, and I was with my wife, and we're walking, me and Megan, and I just couldn't help it. But seeing the Colosseum, I did this line from the movie to her. To her dismay, I did it about 17 more times because it was a long walk to the Colosseum. Like, it's so huge, you think you're right there, but you just have to walk still a lot farther.
Oh, that sucks.
But this is the line that I did when Commodus finds out that Maximus is the one fighting in the Colosseum.
Will you remove your helmet and tell me your name?
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions. Loyal servant to the true Emperor, Marcus Aurelius. Father to a murdered son. Husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance. In this life or the next.
I can't tell you by me saying the last part there, well, I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Mm-hmm. By the 17th time Megan heard that, she wanted a divorce. She was done. My name is Maximus Decimus. I can't even do it right now. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius. She was over it.
Really?
But it's an incredible, if you ever have the chance to go and see it in person, it is one of the most beautiful, magnificent things you'll ever see in your life.
So I'll end with this before I give my rating. I've watched enough movies now. This is the 30-second movie review we've done this year to know that I've developed taste. I've developed habits that I like in movies, habits that I don't like in movies. I've learned that I love heist movies. I love Point Break. I love The Town. Where you and I think, differ the most on movies is I hate when movies like this, and Braveheart's another example, no one talks like a real person in these movies. They all talk in this dramatic buffoonery way where I think in your head, this is how you talk, and so you really relate to it. I don't relate to it at all. I like the dialogue in Pulp Fiction where they sound like real people, but at no point in the 2.5 hours of Gladiator, and again, 2.5 hours long movie.
Okay, you made your point.
Does anybody go, Hey, man, what's up? How are you? Hey, you been good? How's the family? It's all just this melodramatic nonsense. I can't take 2.5 hours of that.
Okay, did you want Russell Crowe in the Coliseum to walk up to the other gladiator and say, hey, bro, we doing this?
Would it kill him to tell a joke?
Would he take off his armor like taking off a shirt to fight? Is that what you want?
Yeah, I just want I want somebody to talk like a normal person.
It was a different time, so that kind of language transcends you to that time.
It doesn't do it for me.
I don't think people were walking around there going like, hey, bro, what's up? I don't think they were. No one was there to confirm it.
They should have all been like, dude, chill.
Chill out, bro. Why don't we just get along? By the way, since you mentioned lines, of course, the biggest line of this movie was...
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Now, Case knows that I go down the hallway here of Q101 and do that often, too.
This is true.
When we leave the show, see, when I start the show, I say, on my signal, unleash hell. When we leave the show every day, I walk out to the hallway at Q101 and go...
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Oh, what a great movie. I'm really afraid of your rating here because I'm not sure. I can't tell if you loved it, liked it, or didn't like it, really. There's things you said you didn't like, but especially the wanting to sleep with a sister part. But go ahead and give me your rating. What are you going to rate it by?
I'm going to rate it out of Gladiators.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Yes, it is.
Look, again, this movie is like Italian Braveheart, but it's better. There's things that it very much improve on what I thought was such a terrible movie that Mel Gibson put out. That being said, it's not my kind of movie. I don't like the dialogue. This isn't a time in history that I particularly care about.
Ugh.
The fight scenes were fine.
No, they were impeccable.
I've seen better, but the fight scenes were fine. This feels like a real solid 5.5 Gladiators out of 10.
Oh, God. I'm really disappointed in you.
Why are you disappointed in me? It's an honest review.
It's an honest review, but I was hoping this one line would just get you over to a 7.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Very disappointing. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Gladiator 2 opens up this weekend. I'm so stoked to go check it out that I might skip the Bears game and go. It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. You just heard Case's movie review of Gladiator. If you missed it, go to our podcast later. You can hear the whole thing. Disappointing with only 5.5 Gladiators out of 10. Not good. Now, 708 agrees with me in Case's preoccupation in parts of the movie. 708 texts in and says, Case, the whole movie was about making slaves fight to the death. I don't think incest was the biggest strike against ancient morality in the movie.
It's an interesting point. I did gloss over the slavery.
Yes.
But that's just how distracting the incest was. I'd like to point out, and you won't hear this on any other radio show in Chicago today, slavery, also bad.
Both.
Incest, super distracting.
But also bad.
Also, hey, I'm not a fan.
No.
Say what you will about me, I am not a fan.
We'll have new music from 21 Pilots coming up at 9 o'clock, plus Kenzie's Crimes on the way.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.